On Acoustic Tuesday, episode number 91, get to know a luthier whose specialty is hot rodding acoustic guitars. Listen to a dear friend of mine on the Artist Spotlight, rise above guitar shop anxiety, and some 6-string blues machines that you absolutely must know about. All that and more right after this. I'm Tony Polecastro, and this is the Acoustic Tuesday Show. Guitar geeks, unite. Welcome to Acoustic Tuesday, episode number 91. This is the show where you're going to learn about acoustic guitar gear, discover acoustic artists, and get inspired to live your very best acoustic life. As with all episodes of Acoustic Tuesday, I'm going to share with you my guitar geek list for the week. And this week, the list tops off with some wonderful guitars that you must know about. Now, I've talked about Beard Guitars over in Hagerstown, Maryland before, run by Paul Beard and a small team of exceptional luthiers, but I have to give them a little bit more love today because they are releasing something that's extra special, and I'm really pumped about it. First, I have to share with you something because I did get a new guitar, and it's from Beard Guitars, but this isn't the guitar I want to talk about today. This is just the one that I ordered. This is their new Josh Swift model in the blackout finish with volcanic ash hardware. It's not made of volcanic ash, it's just the color. It's all maple, it sounds killer. You'll hear it in a future episode of Acoustic Tuesday, don't worry. I just wanted to tease you a little bit with that. That's not even the guitar I want to talk about though. I want to talk about their Decophonic line of acoustics. Now, let me kind of tell this story in, well, the best fashion that I can, because the Decophonic line is something that Paul Beard and his team released, I want to say maybe 3 years ago, and it started off in the Resophonic world. So they're all resonator guitars, and there's 4 different models, a model 27, 37, 47, and 57, and I believe those refer to roughly the year that they're trying to replicate. These are, I think, generally all birch laminate Resophonic guitars. They're made in square neck and round neck, and they're exceptional. I mean, in terms of what they cost and what you get, it's like that perfect marriage of high-functioning, beautifully made instruments that don't necessarily break the bank. And to give you a taste of what those sound like, here's a clip of Tommy Emmanuel receiving his, it's a model 37 Decophonic round neck resonator. So let's have a listen to Tommy play his Beard guitar.
Somebody stopped me from smiling.
I believe that footage was taken at a recent-ish tour stop where Tommy Emmanuel and Jerry Douglas were performing together. Both are now Beard artists, which I think is pretty awesome. And so check this out. So those are the Resophonic line of Decophonic instruments. Now, they're actually this year releasing Decophonic acoustics. I want you to think 20s and 30s kind of blues boxes. Think like Gibson LOO, think like Kalamazoo, think like Waterloo by Collings, those kind of vibes. Not that those were made in the 20s, but that kind of vibe, like ladder braced, kind of barky, bluesy instruments. Now, I'm not actually sure on the bracing system that they're using in these guitars, but a little birdie told me that I'm gonna get my hands on one of these guitars, actually the sidecar, here in a second. But so here, speaking of the models, here are the 3 models that they are releasing this year. First off, the sidecar Decophonic, and that's a small body. Think like Gibson LOO-ish kind of size. The next is a South Side, which is what looks to be like a mini jumbo, kind of a slimmer waist, nice large lower bout, and a little bit larger upper bout as well. And then lastly, the Highball, which is essentially a slope-shouldered dreadnought. Now, I am super excited to try these because one of the holes in my guitar arsenal is kind of a barky, bluesy guitar, just straight ahead acoustic guitar. And I think they have the recipe here. I've been aware of Paul Beard's stuff since, gosh, I wanna say since right when I graduated college, probably like 2006, 2007, and I've always appreciated and admired his instruments. I mean, with Paul Beard at the helm, small team of luthiers. And I got to give a special shout out to Denny over there at the Beard Shop, who is just a wealth of information. Whenever I call the Beard Shop, I always talk to Denny, and he just answers my questions honestly and very, very accurately. If I'm looking for him to describe a sound, I feel like every guitar I've ever purchased from him over the phone, he's described in exquisite detail exactly what I got. So if you ever call the Beard Shop, make sure to talk to Denny, tell him that I sent you, and just ask away, because he is an incredible wealth of knowledge, and I'm super excited for these guitars coming out. Now, it looks to be, I want to say that these guitars will be coming out starting in summer and then going through the end of the year. We're going to start to see the first models surface. So that being the case, I hope to have mine soon so I can share it with you all. But if you want to learn more about those particular guitars, the Decophonic line, or just Beard guitars in general, please visit acousticlife.tv/AT91. You'll get links to everything that I mention on the show at that particular URL. That's, again, acousticlife.tv/AT91. Now, before we go any further today, we have to do something extremely important. And this question is something that I think you'll find fascinating. So here's your Guitar Geek trivia question. What year saw the Gibson Company purchase the Epiphone Musical Instrument Company? 1934, 1942, 1957, or 1964? Go ahead and ponder that, and at the end of the show, I'll be sure to give you the answer. And I think you'll be surprised by the answer. And, you know, Gibson and Epiphone are just always two names that we use synonymously, and I think we're gonna uncover some historical fascination when I reveal the answer. But of course, I'll leave that to the end of the show. Now, I want to keep going. We've got some mailbag items. I've got some really important stuff to share with you. Gosh, and the guitar, I got to tell you, the Guitar Shop Anxiety segment of today's show is something that everybody needs to hear, because I'm going to share a story with you that is actually kind of embarrassing. So please stick around for that. But before we get there, speaking of embarrassing, ladies and gentlemen, I recently lost my very favorite pen, and Sir Noah Jacob Heckman Jr. actually found it. So it's embarrassing that I lost this, and I am very happy and proud that Noah found it.
Nice.
So ladies and gentlemen, Sir Noah Jacob Heckman Jr. the first.
Nice save. Nice save.
Was it that obvious it was a save?
Man. It was so obvious.
Well, I said... When I said, speaking of embarrassing,
yeah,
I saw your shoulders kind of slunk over, like,
exactly what you meant.
And then I was like, no, you know what? He found my pen. This is my favorite pen, made for me by Tony's Acoustic Challenge member, Chuck H.
Yep.
And I misplaced it. I haven't had it for 2 shows, and it just hasn't felt the same.
Yep.
But Noah found it.
Noah
was cleaning.
That's right.
And as usual, my stuff ends up everywhere here, and Noah, he's there to pick up the pieces.
I wasn't cleaning, okay? I was organizing. I was organizing. I didn't have like an apron on and a feather duster or anything like that.
That's an incredible visual, by the way, that I never want to repeat in my brain ever again.
Well, Tony, welcome to you.
Thanks, buddy.
And welcome to Acoustic Tuesday viewers all across the globe.
Noah.
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
You're just welcoming everybody with open arms. I want to welcome you also. How was your weekend? I didn't even ask today when I walked in.
So, my weekend was really good. I would say it was about, given if you start the weekend from, Saturday morning to Saturday night, Saturday morning waking up to Sunday night going to bed, I'd say it was probably about an 85-90%.
Oh, that's pretty fascinating.
It was pretty
nice.
Pretty awesome. The wife was a little under the weather. I was a little overrun by children on day 2 of bedtime. But the big thing is my 2 oldest boys got me to take them to see Endgame.
Oh, okay. This is a Avengers movie of sorts?
It is.
Yes, okay.
I hesitate to say it's the final one in the series because you never know what they're going to throw you.
True.
But this is definitely the end of a era, if you will.
Okay.
So they got me to see it.
Nice.
And not very interested.
Okay.
I will say that. I don't go read Avenger comics, never did back in the day. But they pulled out all the stops. And there I was, just anticipating the next thing.
Yeah.
Laughing, crying. I shed a tear.
Whoa.
It was a thing.
Fogged up your glasses a little bit, huh?
Yes, I did. So it was a great weekend. Thank you
Well,
very
that's
much.
good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that, man.
But I heard you talking about your weekend. So before we move on,
Yeah.
love to hear about, you had quite the major win.
I did. I had a big win this weekend, and I want to share it with everybody because it's something I never thought I would do in a million years. I've been signing up for runs. As you've now learned, there's a saga of running between Noah and I. But I've been really working hard. I'm trying to surpass. I did a marathon in 2015. And it was a great moment. I really enjoyed it. Well, let's use the term loosely. I enjoyed it. I was very proud to be able to finish it. It wasn't fast. I was not breaking any records by any means, other than the fact that I finished, and I was pretty pumped about that. But ever since that time, I thought, man, I've heard of people doing ultra running, which is basically anything above marathon distance. So in October, I'm signed up for 100K, which I believe is about 63 miles. If I'm not mistaken, 62, somewhere in that realm. And so I've been training for that. I'm dedicating the summer to training for that. And yesterday was my first long run. I did a 30-mile run yesterday, and I have to huge shout out to Whitney, my wife, who accompanied me on the last 15 miles on her bike. She was my crew. I think that's what they call them. But she had the water. She was pumping me up, and she was just giving me the words of encouragement that I needed. And yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was very, very difficult, but I'm excited it's done.
Well, I'm inspired.
Yeah, you're like, well, now I'm gonna raise my.
Yeah.
Noah's goal this month was 10, and he's like, I'm gonna raise it to 15.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool. And I said this after our saga, our hill climb saga. It's really cool that Noah and I can push each other. I think it's a neat dynamic that I'm not used to. I'm used to getting beat up by my older brothers. So this feels a little bit more beneficial on both ends of the spectrum.
Indeed. Well, I already cried once this weekend, so let's keep going.
Well, before we go any further, I want to dig into the mailbag. We got some wonderful stuff that came in today, but first I do want you to know that Acoustic Tuesday is brought to you by Tony's Acoustic Challenge. Tony's Acoustic Challenge is an acoustic guitar program like you've never seen before. If you love fun, if you love experiencing progress day in and day out, and if you are a guitar geek, it's absolutely a program for you. And I want you to learn more about it at Tony'sAcousticChallenge.com. Go ahead and visit that link to see how it can take your playing to the next level. I'd love to have you in the program, so don't hesitate to request your invite today. Now, moving on to the mailbag, we got some wonderful things. I can't actually show you everything. Well, I did show you one thing already. The guitar came in. Fantastic. Love it. But we got this wonderful letter from Dr. Tony G, who is an Acoustic Tuesday viewer. Now, I'm going to condense this letter because there's a lot of information in this letter, a lot of beneficial information that Noah and I took to heart, but I'll give you the quick synopsis. Dr. Tony says, Dear Tony and Noah, thanks so much for all the Tuesday shows, crammed full of guitar geekiness and fun. After listening to each of you make some comments about your marriage relationships, I thought I'd share a little of my expertise in exchange for all you have taught me about guitars. Here's 44 years of marriage, countless counseling sessions, and the content of several seminars in one, hopefully short letter. Now I'm going to condense this for the sake of the show. Foundational truth number 1, everybody keeps score. Foundational truth number 2, males and females are different. So, in synopsis, he says, to sum things up, you must become as geeky about your spouse as you are about guitars and cameras. He says, keep on shooting, Dr. Tony G. So pretty awesome stuff. I appreciate him taking the time to write this letter. Noah and I actually read it this morning, and we were laughing. Pretty funny because it's extremely true. And we appreciate your wisdom and advice because I think we'll both put it into motion. Now, I will get to the mailbag, more in the mailbag here. It's sitting next to me, and it actually leads me to the next item, and that is who I'm listening to this week. This week, I'm listening to a very dear friend of mine, somebody who I met in Chicago as I was working at the Old Town School of Folk Music. I was the CD and media purchaser for the store, and then when I moved up to purchasing the instruments for the store, this individual came in and took over my former job, and this individual is Simon Flory. Now, the name might sound familiar because Simon was a part of the band High Plains Jamboree, which they're no longer together, but we featured them way back on Acoustic Tuesday, maybe episode number 3, something like that. Something like that.
It was early.
Yeah, it was pretty early. So anyways, so this is kind of the second visitation of Simon that we've had, but this is focused all on his solo stuff. And I gotta tell you, if you like any of the kind of, think classic Texas troubadours, think Guy Clark, Townes Van Sant, Steve Earle, I think you'll absolutely love Simon's music. Simon is about as raw as it gets in terms of songwriting, and I really enjoy his approach. I've enjoyed him as a friend for quite a long time, and I feel like he's the type of songwriter that when you listen to his music, you actually really get to know a piece of him. He's really puts it all out there. He doesn't really take any shortcuts. He just kind of lays it all out there, and that's his song. And it's there for you to listen to. It's a beautiful thing. So just to give you a taste of what Simon sounds like, let's listen to his tune County Fair featuring Summer Dean off of his new album Radioville right now.
So slowly writing you letters by the pale moonlight that burns all night. Over and over, I'll never know another like your loving kind. You're down in Phoenix and you're on my mind.
I wish you had the time come and see me. This 110's like nothing I've ever done. I'm getting clean and I've changed my ways, but Sheriff Joe'll keep me 'cause he thinks I'll run. He's my only family since I'm gone. There must be a way.
This is kind of a full circle moment because, as I mentioned before, Simon used to play bass in High Plains Jamboree. We featured them on the show before, and we also featured Clay Parker on the show before, and I just found out Simon actually recorded some of his songs with Clay at his studio. So I found this wonderful picture on Simon's Facebook that shows the two together outside the studio, and it's kind of another one of those moments where musical worlds start to collide, which is pretty awesome. And last but certainly not least, to bring it full circle, excuse me, I got stuck on my spit. To bring it totally full circle, Simon released this new album, Radioville, and on it is a tune called Appalachian Sky. And guess who is a guest on this particular tune? None other than Noel McKay and Brennan Lay, whom he was in the band High Plains Jamboree with. So all sorts of connections being made, so let's listen to that song right now.
My great uncle, D.P. Flory, is on the wreck of the old 97, that faded run on down to Spencer, kept alive by old folk singers. He carried mail just like my granddad on my mama's side. Strong southern men, poets and preachers, farmers and teachers down the line. And his soul took flight, escaped with those canaries in that Appalachian sky.
All right, so there's a quick taste of Simon's new album. Now, that's exactly what actually arrived in the mailbag for me. I texted Simon earlier last week. I said, I just ordered the Simon Flory fanboy package. So I got the hat. I got the sticker because I love the logo. Story about the logo here in a quick second. And, of course, I got his album on vinyl. And I have to say, this is a treat in so many ways. Musically, it's a treat. Obviously, I know Simon. He's a great friend of mine. That's a treat. But also, he included this insert that I love. It's a wonderful addition to the listening experience. It's got this I was going to say handwritten, but it's a kind of this typed out. I almost call it dedication / story, but the whole thing is just filled with all these cool outtakes and pictures and things like that, and it's just it completes the experience, in my opinion. I think he did a great job on it. So I want to thank Simon for making awesome music. If you want to check out Simon's music, he's got 2 albums out. Obviously, the first and most recent, Radioville, which was just released, and then right when I moved to Montana in 2008. I want to say it was 2008, he released an album entitled Unholy Town. I don't know if this is necessarily widely available anymore. I found it on Spotify, and it's just, for me, it marks a time and place, and I really enjoy listening to that album because it makes me think of the fun we had at Old Town School and working together and things like that. In fact, I owe a huge, huge thank you to Simon because Simon actually... I played my first gig on Dobro with Simon. I accompanied him at a show that he played in Chicago. And Simon also kind of broke me out of my guitar shell because we played Simon and this fellow Ed T and myself, we played a square dance at the Old Town School of Folk Music. It was my first public guitar performance. And that's what kind of was a lead domino for me to start really digging into acoustic music. So thank you, Simon. Appreciate it. Appreciate the music and the encouragement and just being an all-around awesome human being. So to learn more about Simon, visit our show notes. Go to acousticlife.tv/AT91. There's links to his website, links to buying his merch, which I would strongly, strongly encourage you to do. And speaking of this logo is actually from his family's feed store, which I believe was in Indiana. And he just kind of adopted the logo to fit his own vibe, which I thought was pretty awesome. And Simon is based in Fort Worth, Texas, so if you happen to be in the Texas area, check out his website, see if he's playing near you, and make sure to tell him hello and that you saw him on the Acoustic Tuesday show. All right, moving on. That was a nice little musical gratitude. I was happy to get that out there. I've been meaning to say that. I was like, we should do a segment on musical gratitude.
I like that.
So I think, I don't know, if you all think it's cool, if you want to hear more musical gratitude pieces, or if you have musical gratitude to share yourself, please leave it in the comments below. And if it's a segment, maybe we turn it into a segment. Music thank you letters. Think like Jimmy Fallon thank you letters, but like, not like sarcastic, like meaningful.
Yes.
Not that his aren't meaningful. I'm going to stop talking. This is where I start digging myself a hole.
I know. Get out of it.
I'm getting out of it. I'm gonna switch it over to Noah. We're gonna celebrate some small wins.
Let's do it. All right, I love it. Small wins from Acoustic Tuesday viewers also used to get Tony out of a hole.
I was just thinking, usually I pull my hair back when I wear a hat.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I kind of look like Joe Dirt a little bit.
All right. Okay. All right.
Or
I would never put you in that class, but okay, I can.
But
see.
have you watched Schitt's Creek yet on Netflix?
Yes.
I feel like Roland, the mayor.
Yeah.
A little bit, because the hair's like coming out, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's okay. We're in small wins right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna just get me out of the hole, Noah.
Small wins. Okay, first one comes from Derek, who says, small win. Just got Molly Tuttle's new album, When You're Ready, in the mail and didn't realize it is a limited edition red vinyl.
Yeah.
Bonus. Tony, the signed copy you received, is it red as well?
Indeed. I was actually just spinning that this weekend, and I was like marveling at how beautiful the red vinyl was.
Yeah, I remember you showed it to me.
Yeah.
Great album.
I can give you the download code if you want.
Yeah. That's awesome. Next small win comes from Michael S., who says, went to Carlettsville, Virginia last weekend to see the Milk Carton Kids.
Oh, nice.
Who were absolutely wonderful. A surprise warm-up by Darlingside out of Boston was a real treat. All told, a great 3 hours of entertainment made for a super weekend and a great college town. The small win was that my wife went knowing nothing of either group, and she really enjoyed it too. Guitar Geeks Unite.
That's awesome. Oh, what a lineup. Darlingside and the Milk Carton Kids. That's like Harmony Central.
Yeah. Can you ever get too much harmony?
You can't.
I don't think so.
You can't. It's impossible.
All right. Next one comes from Scott C., who says, I love the way he words this. I wrestled downtown the slippery, greasy pig that is the kernel of a new original song.
I'll tell you what, that statement alone was written by a songwriter of sorts.
Yeah.
You can just tell.
I wrestled downtown the slippery, greasy pig that is the kernel of a new original song. Okay.
That's awesome.
Everyone can quote Scott on that. Tony, that's our small wins for today.
Well, holy smokes, Noah, thank you very much for sharing those.
You're welcome.
And if you're sitting there thinking, I want to share a small win, I've got small wins too. Please put those in the comments. It's super easy. Put hashtag small win and then go ahead and describe your small win. Maybe you started a new song. Maybe you went to an awesome show. Maybe you tried new guitar strings. Maybe you got a new guitar. Whatever the case may be, we want to know. Those small wins are crucial to your guitar journey because not only do they make you feel good about the progress that you've made, make you feel good about living your best acoustic life, they actually inspire the next guitar geek to live their best acoustic life as well. So please share those small wins. And we only have time to mention a few of them on the show, but don't shy away from reading the small wins in the comments. There's some really juicy, good stuff in there, so please dig into that when you get a chance. Now, I want to feature, I was like, is it time to do guitar shop anxiety yet? Because I think that's something we all experience as guitar players, but it's not time yet. I've got one more item before guitar shop anxiety, but don't worry, we'll get there, I promise. I want to feature a luthier that his main, I was going to say his main objective, but really he's carved out a niche for himself. And he hot rods 1970s Martins, essentially. That's kind of his bread and butter, we'll call that. That's his specialty. And I've mentioned him before on Acoustic Tuesday. It was actually during a Tone Talk segment. Somebody had asked about hot rodding an acoustic guitar. And I said, oh, well, there's this guy in northern New Mexico. His name's Bryan Kimsy, and he's awesome. And I thought to myself, after I answered that, I thought, we got to feature Bryan on one of the shows because he's awesome. He is a wealth of knowledge. He is a serious asset to our guitar geek community. So Bryan is in northern New Mexico, and he essentially hot rods old guitars, new guitars, but his specialty is 70s Martin guitars. And he does this because in the 70s, Martins were, well, they just weren't very consistent. The bridge placement was oftentimes off. They used a different bridge plate material that didn't sound as good. A lot of them were overbuilt, kind of heavy, and they didn't offer up their full, true sound. Well, Bryan's main mission is to take those guitars and bring them to life, make them blossom, if you will, into tonal butterflies. So just to give you a quick sample of Bryan's work, here he is talking about his 1973 Martin D28 that he lovingly refers to as the Modzilla because he has modded it, he has hot rodded it, and he has made it one hell of a guitar. So let's have a listen.
At the time, it was pristine, it was stock. It was the only D28 I could afford. Over the years, it never played really good for me right from the very beginning. No, I didn't know why. Nobody else could really tell me why it wouldn't play good. But it was always a little bit of a struggle to play. It was never would fret cleanly. And I noticed it mostly when I played other people's guitars. You know, all of a sudden those guitars play better, that sort of thing. Anyway, so I had some work done to it, and it got to playing good. But when I started doing repair work myself, this was the guitar that I started with, and it's been my test mule ever since. So at one point it needed a neck reset, and I decided I was playing the 1935 reissue D28 with a 1 3/4 inch neck, and I was really getting to like the 1 3/4 inch neck. So I decided that when I did the neck reset, instead of just resetting the neck, which I never liked because it was thin, I decided to just put a whole new neck on. So I did. I put a whole new neck on it that I got from, I think, Stu Mac. Maybe Stu Mac or Luthier's Mercantile at that time. 1 3/4 inch. I shaped it, did a truss rod, fretboard, did all that stuff. And the modifications just kind of kept rolling on and on, because once you do a 1 3/4 inch neck, and you've got to decide what you're going to do about the bridge spacing. And you know, it had the huge rosewood bridge plate in it. In spite of being scalloped, I had it scalloped in 1983 by Frank Ford at Griffin Music. I'd sent the guitar to him, had a scallop, but it still had the large rosewood bridge plate, popsicle brace, all that stuff. So I just, one modification after another, and the first time I had ever done any of these things, so, I took a little too much wood off, I'd get a wood chip or something like that. It wasn't a perfect job by any means, but here it is. So, it's the Modzilla, and it has currently at this time, it has Waverly Relic tuners on it. It has, of course, a completely different neck. It's got a Madagascar rosewood headstock, which I've left blank. And it's got a blank fingerboard just because I was too lazy to put dots in. And I don't really need the dots on the front of the fingerboard anyways. I kind of like the way it looks. I wish at this point now that I had bound the fingerboard, to give it even more of the Tony Rice look. But here it is. And I like bound fingerboards too. So I like the way the black dots pop out from it. But this fingerboard's good. I'm not going to touch it. It actually has pretty big fingerboard dots on it. They're bigger than standard Martin, but that's fine because I like to look down and see my dots, especially if I'm on stage or something like that, where you got lights glittering off your strings. It's nice to have big dots that you can see. So the neck is a modified V shape. It feels very, very much like a D18 GE neck. Pretty good V on it. It's got a French polish shellac finish on it, so it's nice and slick, especially since I put this neck on in 1998, so 20 years ago. And it's polished down really nice since then. It's real slick, doesn't stick at all. I like it a lot.
I love that Bryan is such a guitar geek and that he's like, yeah, I just don't like the neck on this guitar, so I'm just going to remove it and put a new one on. And while I'm at it, I may as well modify the bracing a bunch and make it sound amazing and enlarge the sound hole and make it look just like Tony Rice's guitar. But seriously, Bryan is a treasure, and the cool thing is that he is actually taking guitars. Now, that doesn't mean you just go ahead and ship your guitar to him. In fact, if you go to his website, there's a list of all the work that he does, various prices and whatnot, and also his website's actually a wealth of information as well. How to ship your guitar, his philosophies on setup, all sorts of luthier geekiness is held at his website. So if you want to get your guitar worked on by Bryan, go ahead and contact him via his website, and he'll be able to kind of look at his schedule and see if he has room, or maybe give you a time that will work best for him. But I cannot recommend him enough. In fact, I have been in communication with him because I have that older, I believe it's a 58 single 018. That's got some things that I want tweaked on it. I'd love to get some Waverly tuners on it. I'd love to get the pickguard crack fixed. I'd love to get just an overall setup and probably a refret too. Anyways, that's a totally different story that we can talk about later on Acoustic Tuesday. But if you want to learn more about Bryan, please visit the show notes. Again, you can get a link directly to his website there. Just go to acousticlife.tv/AT91. And I got to tell you, for anybody interested in lutherie, his site is a wonderful resource. I mean, he's got comparisons on an unmodded guitar versus a modded guitar, comparisons on all these different Martin models to older Martin models. I mean, it's really a true wealth of information that I want you to check out. So please check that out again at acousticlife.tv/AT91. And of course, Noah and I would love to know what you think of the show so far. So please, in the comments below, let us know what you think, and please include where you're tuning in from. It's always so cool to see where all of you guitar geeks call home. And of course, while you're at it, please, if you have not yet, subscribe to the Acoustic Life YouTube channel. It's super simple. Just hit that red subscribe button, and then while you're at it, go ahead and click that little gray bell. That'll make sure you get a notification of each and every new video that gets published. This way you don't miss out on any of the guitar geeky goodness that is in the Acoustic Life world. How was that, Noah?
It made me furrow my brow a little bit.
I know, I saw that, and I was kind of like, I felt like I was like trying to shift gears, but it was real clunky, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm not good at manual transmission yet.
Yeah, I feel like, the way that my facial expressions can aid you in some way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
But maybe if you're saying something and you see my face, it shows you that I'm engaged. And
yeah.
I'm listening. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Whether it's confusing or not.
I kind of like to, sometimes I like to picture what you're thinking. And that one I specifically pictured you thinking, is he? Go ahead, you got it. Spit it out. Go ahead.
Come on, little fella.
Yeah. So Noah, speaking of those comments,
Yes.
what you got for us? You got any comments?
I do have some. Got 4 of them for you.
All right.
And the first one is a real treat. So I'm pulling all these small wins, all these comments. I'm actually pulling from Acoustic Tuesday 88.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So we featured Will McNichol.
Oh, yeah,
And he actually took it upon himself to leave a comment. And so
Hell yeah.
First comment comes from Will, who says, "Wow, Tony, exceptionally grateful for the feature in this. Thanks so much. I was made aware via a friend who listened to the podcast today.
Nice.
Truly lovely words and very in-depth exploration. Thank you enormously. It really means a lot. And thanks to the kind fellow in San Diego who put my name forward."
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, there's something about, there's a difference between just talking about an artist or a band and, how you like them or what, more of like a surfacey kind of explanation.
Sure.
But when someone gets a guitar geek to go deep, that's a whole nother level.
I love how you're using whole nother level
I have to.
frequently now.
I have to. Yeah. So next one comes from, thank you, Will, for the comment.
Thank you, Will.
And next comment comes from Don, which caught my attention because he started it with hashtag guitar inspiration.
Ooh.
When you were talking about the guitar journey.
Sure.
And he says, guitar inspiration was a moment for me during the British invasion in the 60s, not the American Revolution. When out of the blue, one of my friends played the arpeggios for the Animals' House of the Rising Sun.
Nice.
Figured if he could do it, so could I, just as soon as I got a guitar. Still doing it, but with a few extra embellishments, of course.
Nice.
Great sing-along song as well.
Awesome.
All right, next comment comes from Joshua W. The good news. While searching online for getting out of a guitar rut, which is an awesome thing to search, by the way. Awesome
search thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
While searching for getting out of a guitar rut, I stumbled upon Acoustic Tuesday episode 55.
Oh.
After going back to the beginning and watching 3 episodes per day to catch up, I'm finally up to date. The bad news. 1 Acoustic Tuesday per week now just doesn't seem like enough anymore.
That's like the classic Netflix conundrum. You find a show that you love, you just binge watch, and then you're victim to the normal schedule.
And you know what?
That's what happened with Game of Thrones. I'm dying now during the week.
How many episodes have you watched of Game of Thrones now?
Well, 71.
So given all the current seasons, we have more episodes than Game of Thrones?
I mean, are you surprised? I'm not.
I'm not.
It's not like we feature dragons.
We could.
Easy.
So thank you, Joshua, for that.
Do you imagine the CGI that we'd have? Like, why would we even feature dragons? That doesn't even make sense.
It would be like flash animation, and it would be the lamest of the lame.
It'd be like the
we need someone else.
Frosty the Snowman claymation.
We need someone else to get both of us out of the hole. All right. Last comment comes from Key of B Sharp, who says, MTV Unplugged in the 90s got me interested in acoustic guitar. Great comment.
I love that. As a matter of fact, I would like to think that MTV Unplugged in the 90s, in one way or another, actually saved the acoustic guitar.
Wasn't that quite revolutionary?
I mean, because before that, well, I don't even know the bands. They just had keyboards and there's bam, 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 bam.
And they had hair and
Yeah.
like dudes wore makeup and some other stuff.
Man, I remember the Nirvana Unplugged in New York.
That was
that
a big
was
one.
like
That was a big one.
I don't know. Well, I guess hindsight, it's a very significant performance. But I even remember at the time watching it and thinking, I love how perfectly imperfect this is. And just feeling like I was actually there. You know?
I remember buying the album.
Oh,
I remember buying the CD.
I gotta confess something. This is so dumb. So I remember, I think I was in 5th grade, maybe 4th grade. No, I think it was 4th grade because Mrs. Goodman was my teacher. I remember going to Christmas at my mom's families. No, we did like a celebration, you know?
I'm going to Christmas.
we went up to Wisconsin, Chilton, Wisconsin. And my grandma got me a tape player. It was a red tape player with like a microphone on it, so you could sing along, because why wouldn't you want to? And I got 2 tapes with that to just show you how vast and just how far apart my musical tastes were even at that time.
Okay.
First tape I got, the soundtrack to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Mm-hmm. The second tape, Aerosmith's Pump. Those were the 2 tapes.
All right.
So I had Vanilla Ice in one ear and Steven Tyler in the other.
Yeah, man. Now you're opening up a whole little memory vault. Remember high-speed dubbing?
No.
You-
Where you could switch the tape speed?
Yeah.
Yes.
And like record at a faster rate if you were copying a tape and stuff. Oh, that's good stuff.
Oh, man. We really went through the trenches. When you wanted to bootleg a song, you had to literally like listen to the radio intently, kind of guess when it was coming so you could catch the start and then hit record right away.
Yeah.
Kids these days, they just search.
They don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know.
Anyways,
well,
that's how you know you're a music geek. But Noah, how do you know you're a guitar geek?
I'm glad you asked, Tony.
Well, good.
Because I have 3 of them for you today. First one comes from Karen L. He says, you know you're a guitar geek when you prepare for seeing Molly Tuttle in concert by learning the version of Wildwood Flower that she taught in an acoustic guitar magazine lesson on the off chance that you get to talk to her and you want to have something to say. Parentheses, Tony. Tony.
I mean, that's good planning.
That's accurate.
Because I had nothing to say.
Well, you said some stuff.
Yeah, it was just...
I was there. Well, okay, to be fair, I was probably just as bad, if not worse than you. Because I have a hard time speaking with a good volume. And so I said something to her, and she actually had to lean forward to be like, what did you say? And before I could say it again, that's when the old guys came up.
Oh,
and was like, whoa! And it was gone. So
I just remember being like, you know, the Wayne's World I'm Not Worthy thing?
Yep.
I felt like that, and I almost felt like just being like, how much merch do you have? Can I just buy it all? I'll just buy all the merch. Here, I'll just buy it all.
yeah.
I couldn't afford all of
That was
the
a good
merch.
save.
Yeah.
That's a good save. I'll just buy all your merch. All right. Next one comes from John F. You know you're a guitar geek when you order a new guitar and the wife says, you'd think we were expecting a baby. Is that true?
Kind of true.
Is that true?
It's that momentous.
Well, maybe baby for you, but not for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the spousal, like, what the spousal support would be in a situation like that. I don't know.
You know how, like, guys will gain weight when the woman gets pregnant? Like the sympathy pounds, you know? Does that give her the go-ahead to order, like, a Mando or a Uke?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Anyways, that was fun. Okay, last one comes from Eric S., who says, you know you're a guitar geek when you tell your significant other that you have gas, and they know exactly what you mean, that you have guitar acquisition syndrome.
That's good. I like that. I'm sorry. I was still laughing about the
I know.
stuff.
I was trying not to get sucked in and laugh as well.
I just like, especially if it's a custom guitar, you know? Honey, I got to hop on the computer and go for my checkup. Would you mind supporting me on this? Dear Luthier, how's it going?
That's
I'm
pretty...
sorry, it's like so dumb, but
Yeah, I sent my guitar to Bob Kimsy.
It's Bryan Kimsy.
Oh, sorry, Bryan. I just looked at it too, and I'm like, just wanted to say Bob. All right. You need to pull me out of the hole.
Yeah, we need to keep going. Well, I'm really excited to share about this guitar shop anxiety thing because I think that's a real affliction. But first, I want to encourage you to do something very important, and that is please share the Acoustic Tuesday show. It's because of viewers like you that make the Acoustic Tuesday show super fun and watched a ton. I'm still astounded by when we release a show, there's floods and floods of comments. I mean, we get like easy like 100 comments the first hour the show's available to watch. So please share the show with your Guitar Geek buddies, whether that's a link on Facebook. Thank you, Michael K. I know you're doing that. I appreciate it. Whether that's sending an email, whether that's just kind of saying, hey, Bob, Rod, or Todd, whatever your buddy's name is.
Bryan.
Have you seen the Acoustic Tuesday show? Please share it. It could be with your local guitar store. It could be with any Guitar Geek. But the more Guitar Geeks we gather on Tuesdays, the better. So I thank you for doing that in advance. Now, moving on to some guitar arsenals. We got some wonderful guitar arsenals to share with you today. Some great stories and a lot of dog infusion today. So bonus points to these two fine gentlemen that submitted their guitar arsenals. First, we're going to head down to Peoria, Arizona, and look at Bob I's guitar arsenal. Bob starts off his description like this: 7 dogs, 7 guitars. Life is good. And I know you're thinking, wait, I only see 2. Don't worry, there's an explanation. First and foremost, I am holding 2 of my youngest pups, BB on the left and her sister Molly, both born this past December. Not pictured are Sadie, their mom, Maggie, Katie, Layla, and Lil Dude, which is a great name. Now for the guitars. Starting on the top left is a 1969 Guild 12-string. Next is a 1993 Jose Ramirez R1 Classical, followed by a Paul Reed Smith S2 Mira Electric. On the bottom is a Taylor 314 CEN nylon string hybrid. That's his practice guitar. A Loudon F50 Bear Claw Sitka Spruce and Cuban Mahogany. A Loudon 035 Sitka Spruce and Walnut, slowly becoming my favorite. A James Goodall Grand Concert with Red Cedar and Rosewood. Tony and Noah, I've been watching your show since episode number 1, and I have to say that it just wouldn't be a good Tuesday without you. It feels like we're buddies, and it would be a blast to have lots of guitars and whiskey close by and hang out with you guys. Thanks for sharing your acoustic knowledge, for sharing yourselves, and for a ton of laughs. Well, thank you for watching, Bob, and thank you for sharing your guitar arsenal with us. I am amazed at the 7-dog scenario. I can't even imagine that. Noah, you got to be close with all the kids, the cats, and the dog. You got to be reaching mission critical, right?
Okay, I got several things in my brain right now. First thing I want to say is that's why I said Bob, because Bob was coming up in the guitar arsenal, so that's why I had the little swap. I just want to say that.
That's good.
If I could save myself a little bit there.
Yeah.
And then, my mom.
Yeah.
And her husband have 7 dogs as well.
Whoa.
And I'm not sure how that happens, because there is no way I will ever have 7 dogs.
I could see Whitney and I having 7 dogs.
I could see
if it was
that.
left up to Whitney. I mean, she did almost bring home a pig.
I could see that.
Yeah.
You know what? After the kids are all out of the house, it's possible that there could be dogs. I don't know.
Dogs rock, man. They're just the best. I love dogs. Anyways, speaking of dogs, we got more dogs. And we got this is my foray into speaking French Canadian. So wish me luck. Here
like
we
you
go.
said, Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. Well, I was just practicing.
Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy Fallon. This next guitar song comes from Derek K. Derek K is from Val-de-Mont, Quebec.
Ooh, that was good.
Was that okay?
The first time you said that, I thought you were talking about Harry Potter.
Oh, Voldemort.
Yes.
This is Val-de-Mont.
That's good.
And now if I said this, if I actually read this, how it's spelled, I'd be like Val des Monts,
There you go.
Quebec, Canada. But I'm pretty sure it's something along the lines of Val-de-Mont, hopefully. Anyways, Derek says this. Hey guys, got my t-shirt a couple weeks ago and took some time to gather everything, plus got a buddy to take a picture. Bonus points for hard work. Here's my guitar arsenal. Yeah, I got gas. I don't have very high-end instruments. However, I have instruments that I enjoy playing. Maybe one day I will own a Martin. For now, I don't have to worry about bumping a headstock or a dog knocking one over. First of all, I have to say this. As long as you enjoy playing the guitars that you have, those are the guitars that you need. Just plain and simple. Those are the guitars that you need, plus the next one that you're going to get. You know what I mean. Photo number 1. Starting on the wall to the left is an Epiphone DR100 with spruce top, mahogany back and sides. That is his campfire guitar. Next is a high-low baritone ukulele, followed by a Kala soprano ukulele. Then, my first acoustic, a 2001 J. Tercer D100 charcoal, all laminated spruce, simply named J and well worn in. On the back of the sofa is a 2009 Squier Stratocaster, relict and cloned to a 1964. Beside is a 1991 Epiphone Explorer named Lucky. On the sofa is my collection of Gittebeck acoustics. Starting on the left, check this out. This is a really cool, I love this connection here. So check this out. On the left is a 2009 Seagull S6 with cedar top, mahogany back and sides named Emma. That's his main player. Next is a 1982 Seagull, serial number 36 with cedar top, birch back and sides. No model number, one of the first ones produced. Beside it is a 1980, pronounced Lee, L2 all laminated birch. These were the predecessors to Seagull. Then is a 2015 Norman B15 12-string full cherry body with a Fishman pickup named Norm, fittingly. On the floor to the left is a 2006 Oscar Schmidt parlor guitar, and to the right is a 1981 Yamaha C235 classical guitar with cedar top, mahogany back and sides. I'm holding my first guitar ever, a 1996 Fender Squier Stratocaster named Sophie. Lastly, on my left, my right is Nanook. She will gladly sit on the sofa beside me while I strum away or catch an episode of Acoustic Tuesday. And there is Makwa. He can keep a steady beat that you can play to with his tail slapping on the floor. Photo number 2 is entitled Other Stringed Instruments. On the wall to the left is a Samick A-style electric mandolin, a mid-70s Vibra 5-string banjo, and a Seagull Merlin in the key of G. Kind of a mix between a strumstick and a dulcimer. Very fun to play. In front is a charango, a 10-string Andean instrument, and a 1986 Marshall Artist 3203. Had it personally signed by the late great Jim Marshall with a 2x12 cab. Photo number 3, this is entitled, now I love this. This is so guitar geeky and very organized, so great job, Derek. Projects for repair / restoration and resale. The triple R category. On the left is a mid-60s Harmony archtop, not sure of the model since it's been refinished and modified. Next is a mid to late 60s Silvertone model, a 1959 K Concert cutaway, mostly original, however I am sourcing out a replacement bridge. Then an early 80s El Degas 12-string in nearly mint shape. Tuners need replacement. In front is an Intex A-style mandolin that requires a set of tuners. Behind is my collection of over 700 vinyl records and growing. Nice job. Photo number 4. And here's a little something for Noah and Levi. First, an early 2000 Intex 4-string bass with a Marshall MBB 15 combo amp, and my set of Latin percussion Aspire congas with Matador bongos. To the left, this is the best. To the left is my collection of quote-unquote tension relaxers. To help loosen the fingers, note that the bourbon is on the bottom shelf. Thank you guys for all the good work that you do. Now, Derek, I do have to say, I think you've switched where the bourbon should be, but I'm thinking it's probably easier to reach on the bottom, so I probably put it on the bottom as well. No big deal though. So I want to thank Derek and Bob for sharing their guitar arsenals with us, with all of us guitar geeks. And if you're sitting there thinking, man, I want to share my guitar arsenal, well, it's super easy. It involves 3 simple steps. First, get yourself a guitar arsenal shirt. There's a link right beneath this YouTube episode. Second, put that guitar arsenal shirt on and take a picture amongst all of your guitars. If you include dogs, that's a bonus. If you include bourbon and or scotch, that's a bonus. And if you include little Easter eggs for us to find, well, that's just extra credit. Just plain and simple extra credit. The last thing that you need to do is submit it at acousticlife.tv. Once you go to that URL, you'll see a link in the top menu that says submit. Click on that, you can upload your picture and then describe your guitar arsenal in its entirety. So please, please don't forget to do that because it's so fun. It's so fun seeing all of your guitar collections. Big, small, weird, odd, cool, rare, collectible. It's all cool and we love celebrating guitar geekiness. And submitting your guitar arsenal is probably the best way to do so. Now I have a question to ask you. Have you ever walked into a guitar store and just been struck with a wave of anxiety? Or how about this? Have you ever parked outside the guitar store and been so anxious you actually never made it in? Because I have. And that's exactly why I'm going to share with you 5 tips to bust guitar shop anxiety. To make your experience fun, to make your experience educational, and ultimately to make it fruitful as well. But before I dig into the 5 tips, I want to share with you a story that it will explain why I'm listing off my reasons why I have guitar shop anxiety. Now, This was back in, it was my first year of community college, so I want to say 2002, 2003, maybe somewhere in there. I was into electric guitar. I had a BC Rich Mockingbird, which was very metal. You know, I was very metal, into metal, which I still am, just for the record. And I saw in some guitar magazine, I saw that, oh wow, Stevie Ray Vaughan, he played with an Ibanez Tube Screamer. I believe it's a TS-808, I think. I'm not super up to snuff on all my pedals, but I'm pretty sure it is. Anyways, an Ibanez Tube Screamer. So I said, you know what? I need to go to Guitar Center, and I need to get myself an Ibanez Tube Screamer, because just by virtue of me buying that pedal, I'll probably sound exactly like Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's clearly the one thing holding me back. So I go to Guitar Center. I very nervously asked the individual behind the counter for the Tube Screamer because it was in a glass case, and he produced the Tube Screamer. I purchased said Tube Screamer. I believe it had a rebate too, which was way cool. You know, I was college, so the rebate was a big deal. I got it home, and I was super excited to dig into it. I plugged it in, I played with it, and man, I just did not like what I heard. I didn't like the pedal. I just didn't like it. It's not what I had thought. So the next day, I went back to the Guitar Center in Arlington Heights, just a couple suburbs over from Schaumburg. And I went with a buddy of mine, also named Tony. I hang out with a bunch of Tonys. And I went to return the pedal. And I placed it on the counter with my receipt. This was at the Guitar Center again in Arlington Heights. And the kid behind the counter, he looked at me, he's like, "Why are you returning this? What's wrong with it?" And I was like, "Nothing's wrong with it. I don't like the way it sounds." And I'll tell you what, he gave me the biggest eye roll. You could actually hear his eyes roll in his head. This was how big the eye roll was. He was like, "Ugh, this is like one of the top 10 pedals ever." And I immediately just I felt super embarrassed. I felt dumb. I just felt stupid, because clearly I did something wrong, because I don't like one of the top 10 pedals of ever, you know. And this was like one of the first pedals I ever purchased, by the way. And it was after that moment, I didn't actually go back to that Guitar Center for quite some time. Now, this is not a rag on Guitar Center. I've had way better experiences in Guitar Center since that. But that particular store, I didn't go to for easily 1.5 to 2 years, because I was so embarrassed that I just didn't know. And it led me to go down this thought process of like, how many people are out there that don't go to guitar stores because they just don't know this imaginary knowledge that they quote unquote should know, or that they feel like they have to know everything before they walk in the store, but since they don't know everything, they never end up going into the store. And then I thought, how many guitar geeks haven't been able to live their best acoustic life because they're afraid to go into a guitar store? And I thought, man, this is a perfect segment for Acoustic Tuesday. So what I want to do right now is give you 5 tips to quell that guitar shop anxiety. And the first tip that I have for you is, I like to call it phone a friend. Think of the old game shows. More distinctly, bring a friend, okay? There's something about bringing somebody that you know, that you trust their opinions. Maybe they know a little bit more guitar than you, maybe they know less. But either way, having somebody there with you brings down the anxiety factor significantly. Because that means you're not stuck just talking to the salesperson or just talking to store staff, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it gives you kind of that buffer zone. And if you have a question, you can also ask your friend in addition to the sales staff. You can say, okay, well, you know, I know Todd here at the store says this is a good deal, but hey, Jimmy, is this a good deal? What do you think? Having that buffer is really important for reducing anxiety and allowing you to have the best experience. Plus, if it's somebody whose opinion you trust, which they're your friend, so I'm sure you trust their opinion, you can have them play a guitar and ask them what they think. They're an unbiased opinion that you can pull from, which is a huge resource. So that's tip number 5. Tip number 4 is to call ahead. This seems like such an old school thing to do, but if you're trying to reduce your anxiety going into a guitar store, if you call ahead and talk to somebody, ask them questions, get to know their name, and know if they're going to be there when you plan on going. Say, hey, I'm planning on being at the store at 4. Are you going to be there? And if they say yes, immediately you have a connection point. And immediately they know what you're looking for. And immediately they can start helping you out to the best of their ability, which right away kind of puts you on the same page as the salesperson. I think so often there's this, almost this, this sizing up that happens when you walk into a guitar store, like, what does this salesperson think I know? What do I think the salesperson knows? And then usually we end up kind of, you know, critiquing ourselves, or I should say this from my experience, where it's like, well, clearly the salesperson knows more than me. If you call ahead and talk to them beforehand, it immediately puts you guys on the same playing level, or the same page, I should say. And in that case, they can help you out to the best of their ability, and then you can feel comfortable going further and getting into the store and actually digging into your experience. Tip number 3, and this one seems silly, but it's true, and I've got another story to go that goes along with this, is ask questions. And the cliche is true here. There are no stupid questions. The only stupid question is the one that you didn't ask. And let's go back to my Ibanez tube screamer moment. Had I asked what this pedal was capable of prior to purchasing it, I probably would have found out that it wasn't the heavy metal distortion that I wanted. It was a simple overdrive, and it really pairs best with tube amps, of which I didn't have any. So by me not asking that question, I kind of put myself at a disadvantage. Whereas I could have just said, hey, what does this do? What sound can I expect? Can you demo it for me? If you're not comfortable demoing something, you can always ask to have it demoed for you. The sales staff at any guitar store are there to help you. If they don't want to help you, it's a guitar store that you don't want to be in. So ask questions. There's nothing too silly. If you don't know, ask the question. And you'll walk out having learned a bunch, and you'll walk out feeling like, wow, maybe I didn't buy anything, but I went into that store. They provided awesome knowledge, a great experience, and now I'm way more likely to go back and feel more comfortable going back because they entertained all the questions that I had. So please ask questions. And tip number 2, this one's really important. I think this is important for any guitar geek, for any guitar shopper. Be honest about what you're looking for. And I say this because sometimes, and I'll say this again from personal experience, sometimes it feels like I'm kind of scared to ask for certain things, or I certainly was when I was first getting into acoustic guitar. I'm kind of scared to be really honest about what I want because I'm afraid of what it means. So for example, I could go into a guitar store and say, I'm looking for a blues kind of guitar. Well, as soon as I say that, what comes along with that? What kind of baggage does that carry? Well, that might, you know, then the salesperson might think, gosh, he's a really amazing blues guitar player, of which I might not be. So it's a little bit scary to be honest what you're looking for, be honest with the salesperson what you're looking for, but it's so crucial to be honest because that puts them in a position to help you as best they can. And I say this also for another reason. Sometimes you go to the guitar store to just try things out. Your intention is not to buy, your intention is to experience. And guitar stores are there to not only give you the option to buy things, but also to give you the option to experience things. So if you go into the guitar store and you say, you know, Todd, or whatever the sales guy's name is, or saleswoman's name is, say, hey, I really want to check out some different neck profiles because I'm not sure what I'll really like. I'm not in a position to buy today, but I want to start collecting information so when I'm ready to buy, I buy the guitar that's perfect for me and what I want. That right there is being honest with the salesperson, and that right there is going to get you so far because it's going to open up this door of opportunity to try different things, and the salesperson knows. They're not going to start pushing you down the sales road. They're just going to provide you with information. So be honest with the salesperson with what you're looking for. And the last tip that I have for you, tip number 1, is to listen and to learn. When you're at the guitar store, the salesperson might be younger than you. The salesperson might be older than you. The salesperson might not be well-versed in acoustic guitars. The salesperson might be super well-versed in acoustic guitars. It doesn't matter. We're all guitar geeks. Chances are they're a major guitar geek because they're working in a guitar store. And chances are, since they're a guitar geek, you can learn from that guitar geek. We can all learn from one another. And I think, again, there's this sizing up that starts to happen when you walk into a guitar store. And if we just set that aside and say, hey, I'm a guitar geek. I'm gonna talk to this other guitar geek, and together we'll probably teach one another something. And that's a really cool exchange. That's something that I can't necessarily say I've seen in many other industries other than the guitar industry. So listen and learn. It's so important. And chances are, if you're a guitar geek, you love learning lessons, regardless of where you're at. You might be at a guitar store. You might be at a jam. Chances are, if you're a guitar geek, you're going to be open to those learning experiences, which is crucial. Which is, again, why I want to mention Tony's Acoustic Challenge. If you're a guitar geek, if these tips resonated with you, you're a perfect candidate for Tony's Acoustic Challenge, where you can learn lessons every single day from the program, from your fellow guitar geeks, experience fun and progress every single day. So to learn more about that, please visit Tony'sAcousticChallenge.com and see how it can take your playing to the next level today. And please, if you like what you read, don't hesitate to request an invite, because once you do so, you'll be ushered in to the group of the most friendliest guitar geeks you've ever met in your entire life. So with that, now that your guitar shop anxiety is quelled, or at least you have some tips to work by, let's wrap things up. We've got a Guitar Geek trivia answer that I'm dying to give, but first, a quick recap of your question. What year saw the Gibson Company purchase the Epiphone Musical Instrument Company? Was it A, 1934, B, 1942, C, 1957, or D, 1964? Well, if you answered C, 1957, you're absolutely correct. Gibson president Ted McCarty reached out to Epiphone after being prompted by let me restart that. Gibson president Ted McCarty reached out to Epiphone after being prompted to by none other than Les Paul. McCarty expressed Gibson's interest in Epiphone's critically acclaimed upright bass division, which Gibson had not picked up again after World War II. When Epiphone replied in 1957, McCarty was offered the entire Epiphone company, including the remaining inventory of the Philadelphia factory, for $20,000. Yes, $20,000. McCarty accepted on behalf of Gibson. Though McCarty's original intention was to bring the Epiphone bass models into the Gibson catalog, he later changed his mind. Instead, the Epiphone brand would be revived with a new line of instruments, of which guitar was the front runner. Pretty fascinating piece of musical history. I've always associated Gibson and Epiphone together, knowing that Epiphone was separate at one point in time, but never really understanding how the two became one company, or one owned the other. So pretty fascinating. It was a $20,000 check in 1957. Pretty fascinating stuff, man. It makes me want that Epiphone Frontier even more now. The one that Phoebe Bridgers plays.
Yeah.
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 Makes me want it like even more. It's a beautiful guitar.
You know, it's kind of good to know that stuff, because I know for me, in my own journey, there was a time where maybe kind of similar to like Squire from Fender.
Yeah.
Where you almost tend to look at it as like subgrade, you know?
I agree.
And that's where I was at a point in my own journey.
Yeah.
With that kind of thing.
Well, it's funny because when I was reading about this, I was fascinated in knowing that, you know, McCarty originally, like I said, he wanted to kind of bring back that upright bass division. But what ended up happening was there were certain Gibson dealers, or certain dealers that wanted to be Gibson dealers but couldn't meet the requirements for Gibson dealership at the time. So that's when Epiphone kind of came in. It was another way to get people within the Gibson family. So kind of an interesting musical story, musical merchant history story. I should quit trying to describe it. It just is what it is. Right. Well, with that, Noah.
With that, the offer was made. It was accepted. The check for $20,000 was written and deposited at the bank, and then the deed and the title of Epiphone was handed over to Gibson, which is metaphorically Acoustic Tuesday episode 91.
Wow, that is wow. Yeah,
you can redo it.
I was gonna go a different route, but I'll store up my stories. I'll store them up. That was good. Okay. You really hopped on it, man. That was great.
Yeah,
it was like we planned it. We didn't plan it. It was one of those magic moments. We didn't plan that.
I just went for it. It was practically just put in my lap.
That was good. That was good. Okay. I almost interjected in your story, but I was like, no, this is Noah's story. Noah's writing this story.
This is Noah's story.
Anyways, let's take a sneak peek into next week and see what's going to happen on Acoustic Tuesday. Next week on Acoustic Tuesday, I'm going to give you my go-to Saturday morning cereal guide. You're not going to want to miss this. I promise you. Episode 92 will be a momentous occasion. Tone Talk will be back for edition number 4, and we're going to dig into some of Eric Bibb's favorite gear. No joke. I got 2 pieces of gear that Eric Bibb loves, and I'm going to give you some information about it. So that's all going to happen next week on Acoustic Tuesday. Remember, you can catch Acoustic Tuesday every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time here on YouTube. And of course, for your Acoustic Tuesday fix in between Tuesday, please visit acousticlife.tv where you can learn more about everything I've ever mentioned on Acoustic Tuesday. In fact, there's links to everything I've mentioned. There's links to the Spotify playlist. And remember, if you like the stuff on the Spotify playlist, please support the artists and buy the merch because, well, let's just be honest, Spotify doesn't really pay artists a whole heck of a lot. I've found that out. But it's cool for listening. But if you like what you listen to, go ahead and purchase the gear from the artist. Anyways, I'm gonna quit talking. I think I gotta take a nap. All right, we'll see you next Tuesday on Acoustic Tuesday. We thank you so much for your time. We're humbled that you join us every single Tuesday. We appreciate the heck out of you. And remember, Guitar Geeks Unite. Cheers.